Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed live from Los Angeles. I'm Alex Curry here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning. How are we doing this Friday, guys?
Good morning, Alex. Good morning. We're doing great.
So is Tom Brady, because last night somewhere in Tampa Bay, he was saying, yep, I told you so.
Oh, really?
Yep, I told you so, Shannon.
How was that bye week after a loss?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
We saw last night.
We did. And let's get started with last night's game because the Rams got revenge for their Super Bowl 53 loss to the Patriots in a big way. But this time, it was LA who held New England to only 3 points, while the Rams also racked up nearly 200 rushing yards. Now, Cam Newton threw for just 119 yards and had a pick six. Then he was benched for Jarrett Stidham in the fourth quarter. So, Shannon, what did last night tell you about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady?
Well, it told me last night what everybody already knew is that the two guys were better together, but they wanted to be apart. Skip, look, Coach Belichick is not a bad coach because his team lost last night. They really needed to punch that ball in. I don't understand why they're so early in the ball game, Skip. They didn't kick a field goal. They wanted to go for it on fourth down. And it wasn't like it was fourth and a foot. It was fourth and like 2 or 3 yards. So I was surprised that they did that. But Coach Belichick, if you look at Coach Belichick over the last 5 games, he was 4-1 heading into that ball game. Tom Brady had lost 3 of his last 4. And he was 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 62% completion with a 38-3 loss in there to New Orleans. And so he could have easily been benched, and no one would have thought had a second thought about it. But when you look at it, and it's quick to say, well, Cam do this and Cam. But I thought this team was devoid of talent last year. That was one of the reasons why Tom Brady wanted to leave. So if it was devoid of talent this year, they didn't restock the cupboard with any talent.
No.
So I'm confused. I'm really confused by this, Skip. Because and I'm looking at it. Tom Brady has all this talent, and he's thrown more interceptions with more talent than he's thrown over the last 2 or 3 years. So what does that say about him?
Well, I'm confused because Bill Belichick did not upgrade any of the talent anywhere on either side of the football. Help me out.
Did Coach Belichick tell you he had no money? Did he tell you he didn't have no money?
Personally or salary cap money? I don't know.
He said salary cap money. Look, we knew going into this game, Skip, this is the way the Patriots win ball games. They get non-offensive touchdowns because they're challenged. So they get a scoop and score, they get a pick six, they get a kick return, punt return touchdowns, or they get short fields. If they have to consistently drive the ball down the field with that talent, it's going to be hard for them to score. That's why it was very important for them last night, Skip. That first drive was their best drive, and they needed to punch that in. If they punch that in, Skip, I'm not going to say they'll win the ball game, but we might have a different. We're like, oh man, that was a good ball. That was a good game. But Skip, they can't protect. I mean, they had 23 pass attempts. They gave up 6 sacks on 23 pass attempts. And then you couldn't run the football. So if you can't run the football, you can't throw the football, I don't understand how you expect to win. Now, Jared Goff, kept him in the game because if he throws the ball out front, it's a first down. He throws it behind, it's a pick. So I don't have a whole lot of confidence in him.
Have you seen that movie before?
Yes, we've seen that movie a lot of times before. And Sean McVay's like, I need to stop seeing it, or are you going to see this movie where you're on the bench? So for me, Skip, I didn't learn anything that I didn't already know going into the ball game. Coach Belichick and Tom Brady were great as a couple. but somebody wanted to be in their own movie. Somebody wanted to go it alone. Well, both of these guys wanted to go it alone. And one guy, Coach Belichick team, doesn't have talent. He's doing all the shopping. That's his fault. He let it get like this.
That is a fact.
There's no one else to blame but Coach Belichick. He let it get like this. Tom is happy in his situation, but he's not playing as well as a lot of people thought he would. So together they were better. Apart, we're starting to see they probably should have stayed better, but no one would have been happy.
Okay. So I want to remind everybody that with basically this same talent or lack thereof a year ago, Tom Brady on the final regular season Sunday at New England had this team in position to be the 2 seed in the AFC. He went down and did what he always does in the fourth quarter, almost always, and he scored a touchdown on a long drive that put them ahead by 4 points. And here came, guess who? Fitzmagic against the vaunted defense of Bill Belichick, and Fitzmagic drove the Dolphins 75 yards in 13 plays, including a buzzer beater to Gesicki from 5 yards to win the game with a touchdown, not a field goal. They needed to score 7, and they did. And that knocked, obviously, the Patriots out of the 2 seed. So that's what Tom accomplished, and I made the case that he did more with the least he's ever done last year in New England, his final year, obviously, in New England. For me, last night, Bill Belichick got exposed once and for all as a team builder, not as a coach, as a team builder, as the GM of this team, as the president, as the man with the purse strings. He does it all. He shops for all the groceries. And that team last night was overmatched by a far more talented football team.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm missing a game in my memory, but I don't remember a Bill Belichick team getting so dominated in both lines of scrimmage, in the trenches on both sides, by the Rams' offensive line and then by the Rams' defensive line. They just flat out got manhandled on both sides.
They did.
Because they basically got run off the field, 186 total yards rushing. And that kid, Cam Akers, second-round pick out of Florida State, rookie, wears a great number, the original 23.
Oh, LeBron, huh?
No, he's a Jordan guy, I'm sure. He says, I'm the new Jordan, right?
He said Bron.
He's got some of the sweetest feet you will see in a running back. I love that kid. He's growing on me by the step. Okay, so they got that going for them because they got lots of weapons on offense, obviously. And they actually have a tight end named Tyler Higbee who barely played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. He was out there, but he didn't get any targets or had no catches. But New England doesn't even have a single tight end. They went from Rob Gronkowski, the GOAT tight end, to help me out. They had one rookie tight end get one target last night and catch none of it, the kid from UCLA. Okay? So help me out. Ryan Izzo's on IR now, and he was all you had. They have nothing. And seriously, I truly believe if Tom Brady were watching that game last night, that he felt sorry for Cam Newton because nobody can relate better to that situation than Tom can. And again, it's a quarterback's sort of fraternity, and he would just sit and shake his head at what Cam was up against last night. Because Aaron Donald, I've been hard on him on the show occasionally, he was good last night. He flashed for me because he had a couple of rushes that were just sensational. And he got away with one grab of the running back on Cam's pick six. So I can't completely pin it on Cam. Because Aaron Donald just reached out and grabbed, if we can see, he just grabs the running back. Again, is it an ill-advised throw? Do you have to make sure your running back's going to come clear on that?
Yeah, you probably want to just throw that at his feet.
You just,
Hey, let's go back. Let it be second down and let it be third down.
So Aaron Donald got away with one, and it should have been, let's play on, let's live to tell about another play. Okay, but it goes pick six the other way. And yet, to me, for Cam Newton, it came down to, I get what you're saying about you go for it on the fourth down, but it got to late in the half, they're down 17-0. It got to 4th and 2 Patriots at the Rams' 11-yard line. And this is the turning point in the game to me. Are you going to go for it? Well, Bill Belichick has lost so much faith, I believe, in Cam, so much belief, so much trust, that he said, no, we'll take the field goal and go into halftime 17-3 down. And it just felt like it's teetering on oblivion here. You better just go for this.
Well, Skip, for me, I thought they did it backwards. I thought the beginning they should have took the field goal and then maybe go for it on this one because you had to skip. I mean, if you think about it, they were running the football. Cam had some good passes, and I'm like, okay, this thing about to be a ball game. We about to have something here. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, surely Coach Belichick's not going to go for it this early in the ball game.
Yep.
And Lord, what was that play though? Was Cam supposed to run it? Was he supposed to pitch it? I mean, what was that play?
Well, the problem is it got immediately blown up by the penetration because he had nowhere to go, or no, they took the pitch man was covered.
Right.
So what are you going to do? He just was like, I'm dead. I fold. Like, you got me, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So I did not like any of the play calls. Again, if you had a Tom Brady or a quarterback who's more gifted at throwing the football, you would have thrown one of those 4 plays, but they went 4 straight plays with no creativity, no sort of illusion or no.
And 2 of them, the quarterback ran the ball.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, here we come. So this offense has degenerated slowly but surely into Cam or bust running the football. And I have seen him slowly but surely, what is he? He's aged 31 years of age. Yep, 31. I have seen him lose the ability over time this year to impose his physical will on a defense because it's just too much pounding.
Yeah.
He pounded away at the Dolphins in the opener, and that was really good. He ran for 75 yards. Remember that? And then he got COVID, and he was out for effectively, because they had their bye week, 3 weeks.
Right.
And he came back against San Francisco at home, and he ran it really well. He had 76 yards rushing. Those are his 2 big rushing. So look at the whole year. He's only 3 carries behind Lamar Jackson for most carries of a quarterback, right? But his yards per carry have dwindled all the way under 4 yards, which ranks 17th among quarterbacks.
Yeah, the thing is when you have a quarterback, Skip, especially like Cam, and we consider a running quarterback, that needs to be 6 yards, 7 yards a carry.
Have to.
Because it's not like he's running it 30 times a game.
Yep.
And so if you look at Lamar, you look at his yards per carry. You look at Kyler, what his yards per carry is. Cam needs to be in that. But Skip, like you said, when you run the ball as many times as he has in his past, because now it's starting to look like this offense started to look like Cam when he was in Carolina.
Yep. Just for the record, in his career, he's had these years of yards per carry. He's had a 5.8 for a whole year. He's had a 5.6 and a 5.4. Those will win a lot of football games.
Yes.
But 3.99 with that many tries, it's not good enough. So they're like Cam running or bust. His accuracy comes and goes. Sometimes he'll throw a rocket, and I'll say, wow, that looked pretty good.
That went to Demir Bird. On the dagger route, you can't throw it any better than that.
And he threw one up high to N'Keal Harry. Yeah, and it was a good throw.
Right.
And it had juice on it. You know, I liked it. And then he threw some in the dirt where you say, what was that? I don't know. And he had that one magical night at Seattle. Remember that? When he threw for 397 yards and tacked on another 47 running the ball.
He had another big game throwing the ball here recently.
He's had
also
2 300-yard games. Okay, so. Look, you said yesterday, this is Belichick's best coaching job. Okay, I will give in to this much, that I didn't think they could even be 6 and 7 at this point.
Yes.
But he's actually, I'll give you, they have overachieved with what they have. I don't know how they just beat the Chargers 45-0 with Cam throwing for 69 yards.
Right.
I got to tell you, it does not bode well for your man Anthony Lynn, the head coach of the Chargers, the guy you played with in Denver.
Right.
It does not bode well.
When you get beat 45-0 and the team that beat you scores 3 points the following week.
Yeah, against your in-city rival in your same stadium, right?
But this is what we skip. If you look at it, you can do that. You can score 45 points if you get returns and pick sixes and scooping scores. Now, all of a sudden, because you're so challenged, offensively, if you don't get that, you see how bad they look, Skip, when they don't get points any other place? Because now there's not a punt return for a touchdown. There's not a pick six or a scoop and score. And you're like, well, how are they going to actually score? How are they going to actually move the ball consistently enough to get the ball into the end zone? That was just bad. I mean, obviously I had to watch the game because we're going to talk about it. But if I wasn't talking about it, I'm not watching that. Look, I love football, but I'm not just going to watch bad football just because football is on.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the Rams took the opening kickoff.
They go
and drove it 75 yards in 6 plays, including a quarterback over the top sneak. And it's 7-0. And it just looked like,
And it was like, it was like boom, 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 end zone. And I'm like, hold on, Coach Belichick. Now, Coach Belichick, you normally come out with something better than this. You don't normally let a team just go right down the field. But when you do, okay, you make some adjustments, you settle down. But they still really weren't able to consistently stop the run.
Okay.
And that was the problem.
All right, so we have seen Belichick pull off wins opening day against Miami. That looks better and better,
yes.
right? Then, and remember, they pushed Seattle to the buzzer. It went down to the last play, and you said if Cam had just bounced it, they would have won the game.
Yes.
And they lost 35-30. So that was at least, I'm not going to say moral victory, but it was an impressive loss, right? And then they beat the Raiders at home. They won at the Jets, no big deal. But then they beat Baltimore in the driving, windy rain.
Right.
And then they beat Arizona at home. Kyler was struggling, but still it was a nice win. And then 45-0 over the Chargers to get to 6 and 7.
And the thing is, Skip,
and they played Buffalo tight.
They really think about it. Cam fumbles the ball on the 10-yard line. It looked like they're going in to score.
Okay, so I can make a case Belichick was too good for his own good because the Cam experiment has failed to me. Listen, I love Cam because he's a baller. That's what I love about him. He will fight his tail off. He will do whatever he can to win a football game. I'm just afraid it's not enough. So I'm afraid if they part ways, remember, it wasn't until July 8th that anybody signed Cam Newton, and it was that guy.
Well, I think with the exception of a very few select quarterbacks, Skip, as quarterback starts to age, they need more and more help. Yeah. And Cam is at that point of his career.
I agree.
He needs help.
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody would have been able to.
No. You know what? Skip, I don't even believe I'm a homeboy. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers with that.
Okay, I'll buy that. So Belichick had a really good coaching year, doing a lot with a little. Yes. And the little is his fault. Right. But when you get to 6 wins, all of a sudden you're sitting right now with the 15th overall pick. Well, it's not good enough because the guy you also were banking on for a long time, Jared Stidham, he called Stid.
He ain't it.
He ain't it.
He ain't it.
So while Cam has 5 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, Stid, in brief stints, has 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And last night he looked even worse than Cam. Yeah. And by the way, Cam had a QBR last night of 3 on a scale of 0 to 100. It's just horrible. And he now ranks 29th overall in QBR. So it looks like New England is without a quarterback going into next year.
They're without a lot of things going into next season. Skip, and here's the thing. Coach Belichick's going to have to come to the conclusion, and I know, Skip, he's been able to turn water into wine on a lot of occasions because when we look at his roster, it's not like it was loaded with talent. We don't look at it and ever say, man, they got Kansas City's roster, or they got New Orleans' roster.
Or for that matter, Dallas' roster.
Right, we've never said that. But, Coach, you got to do a better job of picking players. That's you. You draft the players. You sign the free agents. Yep. You got to do a better job than this. The days of you being able to win with marginal players and getting them, we're going to play our keys, you're going to do your job. Yep. Nah, Skip, you can't.
So the only silver lining could have been for Belichick if he had said, I love Jared Stidham and gone forward with him. There's no way they have 6 wins.
Oh, absolutely not. He realized that.
They might be challenging the Jets for the bottom.
You're right.
Which would be a great thing for Patriot Nation because they would be in line for one of those top quarterbacks, right?
Which says even more about the deterioration of Coach Belichick and Tom Brady's relationship. That this man was willing to go forward because at the time that he made his decision, Cam was not available. He didn't know he was going to be able to get anybody, and he was going to be willing to go forward.
He was.
With Jared Stidham.
Right.
So that lets you know, Skip, how far that relationship between those two, historic quarterback, historic coach, had deteriorated, that I'm willing to go forward. Skip, ain't no way they win in 6 games with Jared Stidham.
No.
Jared Stidham, Brian, I don't care who.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer's still there. And he started the one game against Kansas City.
There's 0 chance, Skip, they got 6 wins. And like you said, they're battling Dallas, the Jets, Jacksonville, Cincinnati for a top 5 pick. That's what they would have been doing. Well, it's kind of bad now, Skip, because it's kind of like in basketball. Well, if you're not in the top 4 or 5, really every once in a while you might find a Giannis or you might get a Kawhi, but more times than not, look, guys, you ain't get the first and second pick, you out of gas.
You're stuck in limbo.
Yeah, you right there in the middle. That's where you don't want to be.
Yeah. So that brings us back to Cam Newton. Let's say Belichick parts ways with Cam, which I believe will happen. Right. You can even make the case. Do you want to try Jared Stidham from here on just to make sure what you have or don't have?
You don't.
Probably.
Skip, with that offensive line and those weapons?
No, it's just horrible. But again, let's say this is the end of Cam in New England. Well, usually when that guy says no to a player, the league will say, we're out, right?
Right.
So could this be Cam's last hurrah? Could this be the end of his career?
Well, hopefully he can. Hopefully, like I said, I think the thing is, Skip, he's coming off those injuries. Hopefully, after a year, he has an opportunity to train and not rehab, and he'll be ready to go. But if you look at the Patriots, Skip, when they won games, what have they been able to do? Run the football. When they beat Baltimore, what could they do? They ran the football. Baltimore couldn't stop them. You look at the games they've won. They've run the football.
And the key downs, the key rushes are always by the quarterback.
Yes.
Right?
Third and short, Cam's getting the first down.
Yep.
Or Damian Harris is getting the first down. Skip, and I think he went out of the ball game, Skip, because I tell guys, on a 7-step drop, you can't cut. Because if you cut the guy, guess what he's going to do, Skip? He's going to get up and sack your quarterback.
You mean the offensive line? The
running back.
Right.
Damian Harris cut, I think it was Young.
Yeah.
He cut, not only did he cut him and hurt himself, the guy got up and sacked Cam. It's a 7-step drop. Look, hit the guy in the mouth. He might run you over, but at least you're going to give him an opportunity. Yes.
No, I totally agree. So the point is about Cam, and I say this with all respect, he's too good. His aura is too big to be a backup quarterback. I don't see a future. If I owned an NFL team, ran an NFL team, I wouldn't want Cam as my backup. He's too great. You know, his mystique.
Yeah, he's never been a backup.
No.
So it's easy for guys that's been backups. I mean, it ain't no problem. Yeah, Fitzpatrick was hurt, but Skip, he's mainly been a backup his whole career. He'll come in, the guy gets hurt, he plays well, but for the most part, he's been a backup.
Right.
McCown, he spent 17, 18 years, Skip, as a backup. So it's
they
okay.
Have no ego whatsoever. Cam has a big ego because he earned a big ego.
Yeah, Skip, I've been an MVP. I've taken a team to a Super Bowl, and now that guy, and you know, Skip, you know how guys are. That guy not better than me. So you standing on the sideline, it's cold, it's raining, you seething. Man, he's not better than me. I should be playing.
No.
I just won't care if he goes, I don't know what's going to happen with him in New England. But if he goes somewhere and Cam's healthy, I believe Cam, but he needs weapons now. Now, you can't give him this and say, well, he ain't the Cam. No. Nobody's going to be.
What did he always have in Carolina as a security blanket? He had Greg Olsen. Who's a really good receiving tight end. He's got no security blanket. Who do you trust? Who do you throw it to? I don't know.
And the thing is, last night, now you're dealing with Jalen Ramsey. He's going to take your best receiver away. You're not fooling with him. The other guy's okay. I mean, he made a play. Your second corner, N'Keal Harry made a play.
Yep.
But now you're basically working two men. Your field's not open because Jay Ram's going to take the top guy away. So now what do? You're not running the football. You can't protect. This is what you get. You get 24-3 on a national televised game in which the team doesn't look very well.
They're done. That's it. You said yesterday you might want to make a new bet.
No, I don't want to make no new bet. That's why I don't want to make no addendums or amendments. I don't want to add. I don't want nothing.
Thank you. Game over.
I'm good.
Next question.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharp. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
After coming in late last week to provide a spark, Jalen Hurts is set to get his first NFL start against the Saints on Sunday. According to Pro Football Focus, Hurts' performance last week was the fourth best of any rookie QB this year, despite having an interception. So, Shannon, what's reasonable to expect from Hurts against the Saints?
Well, I'm going to be very reasonable. I don't expect much, especially against this. They've given him the toughest task. If they say they graded him, Skip, with the fourth best rookie performance quarterback
out of 33,
well, this is the toughest task of all the other quarterbacks that have had to face in the NFL. Look, I just don't know what they really expect. It's because, Skip, I can see if they were loaded with talent. you could see with Tampa saying, hold on, yeah, Jameis threw for over 5,000, fifth or sixth best performance in history. Yeah, he threw for 33 touchdowns. But, man, we turned the ball over. If we get somebody that can just take care of the ball half that good, we'd be okay. I get that. But, Skip, when you look at the Eagles, okay, Jalen, we want you to come in, but we want you to throw to the same talent or lack thereof. We want you to play behind that same bad offensive line. But we expect better production against arguably the best team in the NFC and one of the top 2 or 3 teams in all the league. And that's what you're asking Jalen Hurts, a rookie, to do. So I don't really know what Doug Pederson is expecting. Maybe the ownership games, and look here, we've seen enough of Carson. His confidence is shaken. You need to put someone else in there. Maybe that's the route they want to go for the time being, Skip. But I don't see any. I haven't seen enough from Jalen Hurts, even from college, Skip. He's never faced anything like this. He's never faced it. He never. It's like I said, Skip. If they could run the football, you said, okay, we're gonna run the football. We're gonna shorten the game. But Skip, they can't run the football. Okay, well, we got some great guys. We're gonna get the ball, put the ball in their hand, let them make plays. Who? What? How? And it seems to me the weapon that Wentz was most confident in, Zach Ertz, had a problem with Howie Roseman and not getting his contract done. He was out for 6 weeks, and so the security blanket that he once had was no longer there because Dallas Goedert came back and he started to build a rapport with him. But Skip, Skip, this is the Big 12. Guys are not going to be running scot-free. He's not going to have those lanes to run, take off and run, and get 100 yards rushing like he did at Oklahoma. Skip, I just don't know what the Saints have given up 2 touchdowns in the last 5 games.
They are on fire on defense.
Let that sink in.
They've been the best defense in football for 4 weeks, 5 weeks maybe.
I get it, Skip.
Yep.
I'm gonna say the Broncos, given what they had a guy that was selling vacuum cleaners just a couple of days before playing quarterback. I get that, so I'm gonna throw that one out. But they played some other teams. You saw what they did to Tom Brady?
And Matt Ryan.
And Matt Ryan. Skip, Tom Brady can still play at a high level. Matt Ryan can still play at a high level. And they made those guys look very, very mundane, very pedestrian.
Made them look pathetic, both of them.
So I don't really know what they expect. I'm not expecting much. Maybe you're expecting a little more than I am.
He did get thrown. Jalen got thrown into the frozen fire up on the frozen tundra last week. That's the closest thing to any kind of degree of difficulty, unless you want to go back to our rookie year here on this show, 2016. Remember Alabama at LSU?
Yes.
In fact, it was the first bet you won from me on this show. Do you remember this?
Yeah. You had Leonard Fournette.
Yep. And you had Jamal Adams on your defense, LSU.
Yeah.
And do you remember what Jalen Hurts did? No, I'm sorry, I had LSU. That's right. And Jalen, mid-4th quarter, he just finally said, I got this.
He took off.
And he just took off right up the middle and went like 60 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's the closest in degree of difficulty.
Right.
That was at LSU, right? Okay. Not only is he up against the defense that has allowed the fewest yards in the league the whole year, for all the reasons you just stated, but it really bothered me what Fletcher Cox said this week and then what Jason Kelce said this week, because those are 2 captains of what's left of the Eagles. And they're 2 decorated players. Just if for people who don't know, Fletcher Cox has made 5 Pro Bowls. And he
about to be 6.
Yeah, he's on the all-decade team. And Jason Kelce has made 3 Pro Bowls. He's a veteran mainstay. He's a stalwart for them. And both of them spoke out and up for Carson Wentz this week. And it was hard on this kid, I'm sure.
It is. It's tough.
Hey, but
because he didn't do anything wrong, Skip. All he happened to do, y'all drafted me here. I didn't come here on my own. They inserted me. It wasn't like I was campaigning for the job. It's just the other guy. So you put Jalen Hurts in a very uncomfortable situation by
Fletcher
speaking out
Cox
like that.
publicly voted on a poll by hitting like for Carson over Jalen.
Right.
And then when he was asked about it, he owned it to his credit. And he said that Carson is my best friend. He's my guy. I've had his back since day one.
Yeah.
And then Jason Kelce went further about how that Carson Wentz transformed this offense when he took over as a rookie and going into his second year, obviously. He said not just as a player, but as a person. His intelligence, his athleticism had a tangible effect on us.
Right.
You love him.
Yeah.
I've always been not so sure. But Jason Kelce's final line was, it's hard to believe we're at where we're at with this, because there was that stretch, he was in the MVP conversation.
He was.
Right?
Yeah.
In
Because he was
2017.
at that point in time, I think he was 11-2, Skip.
Yep, okay. So not only does Jalen Hurts have those two up against him, no fair, no good, but yesterday, if we could see this, or I think it might have been 2 days ago, that he did his big media session. And if we could see what Jalen Hurts had on, here we go. It's a Houston Astros hat because he's from the Houston area where his father's a high
Oh, you
school
can't do that
coach.
in Philly, Skip.
Hey, I'm just saying, he wore that. And what is that a symbol of now? As that team is now branded as the all-time cheaters in the history of sports,
Yes.
right? They're the ultimate
Yes.
villains. They are the worst of the bad guys,
They're
right?
the White Sox. They're the
They are the Black Sox,
Black
right?
Sox, yeah.
Okay. So he wore this hat, and I got to tell you, it wasn't PR savvy, but I've told you from the start, I love what the kid's made of, what he's built of. He just doesn't care. He's going to represent his hometown. I'm sure he grew up an Astros fan, and he just said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, Skip, but you know what? Those fans, because the first time he makes a mistake, guess what's coming? Well, nothing's coming because their fans are not there. But can you imagine if the
Well, there's
fans...
still this thing called social media.
They would boo the brakes off him.
Yep.
Any bad thing happened, the Philly fans seems like they're almost ready to boo more than cheer when you do something good or bad. I just think the thing in that situation, you just come out there, even if you don't even like the Phillies, put on the Phillies like, I'm all in. I'm a Philly guy. And I said this, Skip, from day one, when they drafted a kid and we came out here, I said, Skip, they just created a problem that they didn't have to have. They created this. Doug Pederson, Howard Roseman, whoever drafted this kid in the second round, you created Frankenstein when all you had to do was be working on a car.
Yep.
And you created something that didn't need to be. And now you got your hands full, because here it is, Skip. You've been working on this, and there it is.
Okay. But I think they created their future because I believe in this young man. I believe in his football character, in his winner's intangibles, in his playmaking. We saw glimpses of it at Green Bay last Sunday. He's quicker than he looks. He's extremely strong for his 225 pounds. And he has a better arm than you think and a more accurate arm than you think. He scored 52 touchdowns a year ago for the Oklahoma Sooners. Big 12, I give you, but 32 touchdown passes and 20 by land.
Are you going to change the entire offense to fit his skill set, or are you still going to have him doing what Wentz did?
I don't think you have to change it that much because I do not consider him a pure running quarterback. They didn't call that many runs for him, but he will run. And maybe you can say to a fault that it's that fine line between read it out,
Right.
make sure, at least go to your second read before you take off, and then go. At Oklahoma, he perfected that. But when he goes, when he needs to make a play, or when they need a play on 3rd and 5 and they call a quarterback draw, he is highly capable of making those kind of plays because he will, again, you can talk about his longevity. How long will he last? Cam-esque. But he will run through the proverbial brick wall to get a first down.
Skip, if we look at quarterbacks that thrived in the Big 12, look at Kyler, and look at Kyler's looked at the second half. Look at Baker Mayfield. He was the #1 pick in the draft. Even Charlie White said, if I had the #1 pick, I would take this kid. He's a glorified game manager right now.
Well, I think he's been way better than that.
No.
The last 5 games.
No.
6 games.
The last 2 games. Skip, in the last 6 games, he's only thrown touchdowns in 2 of them. Now, there were 4 touchdowns that he threw against Tennessee and 2 the game before.
Wait, over the 6 games since Odell, isn't he up to like 11 touchdowns and 1 interception?
I don't know about all that.
I think so.
No.
I think he is.
No, because they're winning games. Skip, here's the thing. When they can run the football with Chubb Rock and Kareem Hunt, they're a different ball club.
Okay, I got it. So, obviously, this kid is up against it. He's from that lineage. We went Heisman Trophy, near. He finished second. Okay. And yet, to me, on just bedrock character, I think he will go out and perform well. Again, what do I expect? I just expect this much. He will play better against New Orleans than Carson Wentz would have played against New Orleans.
No, that's good. We don't do better.
Well,
we do wins and losses. It's qualified as wins and losses.
Okay, but I have to remind Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey that your man Carson leads the league by far in interceptions and turnovers, and has been sacked by far the most and has the lowest completion percentage in all of football. So, again, I think he's looking like a bust because he has lost all confidence in himself, even though those two captains have not lost faith in him.
I think the biggest thing is, Skip, is that they look around at the team and they know the team hasn't done him any favors. Those guys know. They see it in practice and they see what he's throwing to. You might say, well, these guys are coming along, but Greg Ward Jr. was a practice squad guy. He hasn't arrived yet. Fulgham has had a game here or there, but he hasn't arrived yet. He's missed Zach Ertz for 6 weeks. Dallas Goedert was out. Miles Sanders was hurt. And then when he's back in the ball game, Doug Pederson refused
but
to
all
dog
those
runs.
guys are back.
Yes.
They're back.
But Skip, you make it seem like that's Tyreek Hill that's back. You make it seem like that's Devontae Adams that's back. That's not who he has.
All I know is all year I'd chalked up a big W at Jerry World, my team, over your Carson Wentz Eagles, and now I don't know. Jalen Hurts scares me. I'm going to have a hard time. It's going to be hard for me as a Cowboy fan to root against Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. The reason why Wentz could beat your team is because your defense is trash. Everybody has big games against your defense. Your defense isn't good.
Well, you got to play Ben DiNucci. Are you proud of that?
Hold up, Skip.
Yeah.
First of all, if you got to realize, your defense wasn't very good when Dak was playing. Your defense isn't very good when Andy Dalton is playing. Your defense isn't very good with Ben DiNucci or Garrett Gilbert. It does not matter. Hell, they can have Roger Staubach. And that defense is still bad.
Well, ask the Vikings how good my defense
Oh, my
is.
goodness.
Ask them. And Alex could ask our next question.
I'll ask Washington.
Yeah, okay.
I'll ask them.
Oh, Shannon, that was harsh.
You want me to ask them?
That was
I ask
harsh on
Cleveland.
Skip's
Vikings.
Cowboys.
I'll ask Cleveland.
That
I'll
was
ask
harsh.
Baltimore. Can I
But
ask
we're
those guys
moving
too?
from a rookie to the vet, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, because they've lost their last two and could be at risk of dropping 3 straight if they aren't careful. Now, Tom Brady and company will welcome the Vikings into town this Sunday. While Minnesota started the season 1-5, they have gone 5-1 in their last 6 games, including a win over Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. So, Shannon, how dangerous is this game for Brady and the Bucs?
Well, I think this game is really tailor-made for what the Bucs do, Skip, because Minnesota does not get after your quarterback. And I think that was one of the main reasons that they lost to the Cowboys in their building, is that they don't get after your quarterback. And what we've seen, teams that cause Tom Brady problems, all of them get after the quarterback. The New Orleans Saints got after him. Who else? Chicago, they got after him. You have to get after him or you can't beat them because he has so many weapons on the offensive side of football. He still has Gronk. Cameron Brate can make plays. He has Mike Evans, Godwin. AB, what's going to be his role? AB is going to probably get some catches. But I've listened to Bruce Arians, and Bruce Arians says, Ronald Jones, is where it starts. Really? I already said Jones is going to get 20 touches. Hold on, wait a minute. Why I got Tom Brady? If I'm talking about an offense, name the offense. When you talk about Green Bay, the first thing you don't say is no Aaron Jones. You talk about, hold on, no. You talk about A-Rod. When you talk about my homeboy, you don't talk about Le'Veon or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You talk about my homeboy. You talk about Deshaun. You talk about Russ. Why are we having a conversation about a running back when you got to go?
Well, guess what? Tampa Bay is 28th in running percentage of plays. So does it start with Rojo or not? It sounds like it starts with Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
And all
You're 28th in percentage of runs? Are you kidding me?
And that's what you got probably is in quarterback rating, completion percentage. Skip, look, there's a lot of things that Tom Brady misses about New England. He misses the discipline. I don't know if you know this, but the Bucs are 3rd in penalty yards. They got 751 penalty yards. Pittsburgh's number 1 at 814. The Eagles are 2nd at 772. The Bucs are 14th in penalties accepted. You look, that's bad.
I also know Tom Brady is 3rd in times hit. He's been hit the 3rd most times of any quarterback in football. What? And you tell me it's unfair. He gets rid of the ball so fast. That's how he's still playing at 43.
No. That's what he was doing in New England when the offense was catered to him. But Skip, you've been telling me, and I've heard everybody say, Tom Brady would be good in any offense. You take Tom Brady, put him in that offense, he'd be great. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Well, if you gave him an offseason and even one preseason game to try to figure it out, maybe he would be great. No. He's had none of that. Do you realize their bye week didn't happen until now? Isn't this kind of late for a bye week?
Well, I mean, he needed it.
Yeah, I'd say.
He needed it.
Yeah.
Skip, I just think the thing is that, yes, I believe that Brady would have been better served. And all the things that are happening is the things that I didn't second guess. I first guessed. Okay, when Bruce Arians asked him to constantly throw the ball down the field, Skip, in order to throw the ball down the field, they didn't even go get closer and closer to you because you got to hold on to it. Because ain't no three.
Okay, but you thought he would slowly but surely turn it into the Tom Brady offense, and it's not happening.
I did.
It still bombs away. It's still no risk and no biscuit.
And if you look at it, Skip, if you look at a lot of times that he's had success, he's nickel, 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 and then he hits you with the quarter over the top to Scotty Miller. Or he hits you over the top.
Agreed.
But there's been none of that.
Okay. All right. So the Vikings, as a Brady fan, they do scare me because they are, according to Pro Football Focus, ranked 6th best on offense. And you keep raving about that rookie receiver, and he is 4th in the league in yards receiving, Justin Jefferson, who went a little later than Rager went, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the Eagles had a shot, and they didn't. For that matter, my Cowboys had a shot. I'm still happy with CeeDee Lamb.
You'd be happier with that guy.
I don't think so. But again, I cannot I cannot discount his year because it's sensational. Yes. And all of a sudden, I look at Pro Football Focus's rankings of receivers, and they rank him 4th. Guess who they rank 3rd overall in just overall grade? Adam Thielen. Is Dalvin Cook any good?
Yeah.
Do you know what Dalvin Cook did to Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers and company up there? He went for 163, and they won at Lambeau 28-22. You can argue they took them by surprise, but they won, and they've won 5 out of 6 games against mediocre to sub competition. Right. You know, they beat Detroit. They won at Chicago barely. They beat Carolina barely, and then Jacksonville in overtime. So they're barely beating some bad teams.
Right.
Okay, I got that. But they have won 5 out of 6.
Right.
And all of a sudden, First Cousins, as you call him, he's starting to cook a little bit. And he's thrown for 307 and 305 in the last 2 games. And I remind you, you focus on Brady, the Tampa Bay pass defense over the last 4 games has been by far the worst in pro football. Yeah, by far, they're getting torched. They gave up to Tyreek 203 in the first quarter. Yeah. The first quarter? Are you kidding me? So I'm saying.
Well, they undisciplined, Skip.
Okay, but do you don't think First Cousins can have a game? Because I think he's going to throw a party like everybody else.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. When you look at Minnesota, the thing that Tom Brady loves is time, it's protection.
Sure. No, I got it.
And they don't rush the quarterback.
Okay. So I'm seeing high scoring, and I'm going to close one eye and watch this game and hope they pull it out 35-32. Because it's going to be in the mid-30s.
Do you believe Dalvin Cook will be able to have the success running the football?
Okay, nobody does because everybody just throws it against these guys. But, so if I'm, again, I would try to run Dalvin Cook and see if you can establish something.
Because if you become one-dimensional, now they heat you up. Now Todd Bowles heats you up.
Well, does he? He hasn't been heating anybody up except himself. He's been on the hot seat.
Well, Skip, you got to be, first of all, you got to be careful trying to run. Nobody is better against the blitz this year than my homeboy. And do you really want to blitz and have single coverage with all that speed outside? You probably don't. But don't think, I know Gary Kubiak. He was my offensive coordinator. I played with him. He's the offensive coordinator at Minnesota.
Yep. And he's a smart man.
He's going to run the football, but I look for Cousins to be on the move. He's not going to let you have a sitting target.
He's good on the move.
He's going to be on the move.
Okay, I got it. Where those 2 stud linebackers for Tampa Bay have gone, I don't know.
Make them play in space.
Where did the 2 Dallas linebackers go? I don't know. They just evaporated. They disappeared.
If you notice what teams are doing is that they're going a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. They're making them play in space.
Okay.
You put them in that box and let them come downhill and thump you, or you let Jones and Devin White.
Okay.
Let them blitz your quarterback, you're in trouble.
All right. Now back to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
For me, this is make or break. This is a must-win game. And I'm putting it in this perspective. If they're the team I thought they could be, they have to win this game. You can't back in through December. You can't fall backward toward barely eking into the back end of the playoffs. Left on their schedule, they got the 2 division games, obviously.
Got
Atlanta twice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So my point is that this is the turning point game. This is the one where you had a late season bye. Remember, you had little to no offseason.
Right.
You had virtual OTAs. You had 0 preseason games. And you got thrown into the fire. Guess where? We just talked about Jalen Hurts against New Orleans. At New Orleans.
Yeah.
That guy had to start against your arch division rival on the road in New Orleans with no preseason. It's not easy, man. The degree of difficulty is through that roof of that Superdome. Mm-hmm. And from there, you don't ever get a breath. You don't get to sit down and try to let it sink in what's happening. And furthermore, I remind everybody, when they got to 6-2, which is pretty good, when everybody's saying this defense might be the best defense in pro football, what did they do at 6-2? They threw into the mix, or the fire, Antonio Brown, a huge personality, a huge aura, a buddy of Tom Brady's, into a mix that was working at a very high level. And you took out of the rotation a kid that I raved about and you laughed at me for all offseason. I kept saying, you better beware of the little Scotty Miller, because he runs 4.3. That's why. He's little, but he is a little bullet. Mm-hmm. Okay? Tom started to fall in love with him. He actually became his best deep threat. And guess what's happened since AB got there? Guess what's happened?
Nothing.
Nothing. He's gotten 5 targets total. 5. They've thrown him 5 passes in 5 games.
Yeah, but see, Scotty Miller, like, hold on. Scotty Miller was saying, hold on, you talking about you fall in love with me, but you on the phone all the time with AB.
Well, he was.
So I don't really know how much you really...
Well, it's hard to argue with what AB used to be, right?
But Skip...
But is he that now?
But that's the thing, though, Skip. You had built up such a great rapport with this guy. Okay. This guy was really good on third down.
Right now, it's not looking like the smartest addition to a team that was playing at a high level.
But, Skip, you know this, I mean, we're talking about Tom Brady has never had a guy rush for 100 yards in a Super Bowl game. He's won 6 of those.
Yep.
I mean, he's only had a couple of guys that's gone over 90 yards in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And now we're asking, say, well, Tom, Skip, I told you, everything's got to be perfect around him in order for him to succeed. Now,
okay.
Skip, but that's what comes with age. It's okay.
Okay, but playing at the highest level at 6-2, and Pro Football Focus ranked him at that point the 3rd best quarterback in football on performance, on rating. And then all of a sudden you throw AB into the mix and it starts to go south.
So
and
you're
I'm
blaming AB?
I'm not blaming AB. I'm blaming it. I'm blaming that's Tom's. It's on him.
Okay.
And you know what he was thinking? Pay me now so we can get paid later. Mm-hmm. Right? We're going to have to pay now so we can get paid with a Super Bowl at home. Because he's thinking, this guy could put us over the top, but we're going to have to try to figure it out on the fly. Well, I'm thinking you can have Peyton Manning as the smartest quarterback ever. I don't know who you take, but to me, that guy's the highest IQ is that guy. If you give him 2 weeks in the middle of December to try to figure it out, I think he will. So I am excited to see what it looks like, because I think it's going to look very different on Sunday. The scheme.
Okay. So you said they're going to go back and they're going to do a lot of what Tom did originally.
I think it was finally enough time that you could practice enough and scheme enough, and you have enough meeting time to redo all of it and say, let's throw all that out. Let's go back to this. I don't know what Antonio's role will be, but the last time I saw Tom Brady operating the last 3 quarters against my homeboy, he was on fire. And guess who fell out of the rotation? AB fell out of the rotation throughout the second half. Tom had 2 long scoring drives in the 4th quarter against Kansas City. AB caught no balls in the 4th quarter. So is it possible this Sunday against Minnesota, AB's going to be out of the rotation? It's possible. I doubt it.
It would be very interesting to see where a team is not, they're going to stay with their defense, because I thought Kansas City, after they got the lead, they kind of slacked off, because Skip, if you remember the first half, they basically blitzed Tom on every play.
Yep.
They had pressure on him, and then, they started backing off, and then they started to try to...
Although in the middle of the 3rd quarter, they went after him twice and got him twice on the 2 interceptions.
And he made a big-time throw. It was 4th down, and the one he hit the deep ball to Chris Godwin.
Yep.
But, Skip, the thing is, look, they're going to have to run the football to protect Tom, because if you ask Tom to just drop back and throw it 45, 50 times, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble.
I would say that about just about anybody.
My homeboy good.
Yeah.
A-Rod, you see A-Rod don't even matter. You see Skip the flick of the wrist. My homeboy he about to throw for 5,000 again.
Yeah, and that's the team that drafted a kid and then went out and signed a veteran because they're scared to death they can't run it enough to be a Super Bowl contender.
Skip, that was one of my concerns, because they don't have a guy that 3rd and short. Skip, you're on the goal line against Tampa. You got to be able to plunge that in there. And you had 3 cracks, and you try to not even close. Edwards-Helaire is a nice change of pace, Skip. But sometimes and come playoff time, you're gonna have to get some 31 and 3rds and 2s.
So see, everybody needs a little running back help. Am I right?
No, your guy needs somebody to run for like 150. My guy just needs somebody. Hey,
really?
The rest is on.
I'm going to bet on my guy on Sunday. When you finally gave him a little time to breathe, he's going to come out breathing fire.
Well, first of all, no Everson Griffith. He's in Detroit. Linval Joseph, Danielle Hunter's hurt. Stop it, Skip. They don't rush the passer.
Start it, Tom. Start it. It starts now.
The reason why Andy Dalton had success is why? Because he had protection. He got protected because they don't rush the passer anymore. You know that, and I know that. You think you're slick.
I thought he got protected pretty well the other night in Baltimore. Seriously. They sacked him 1 time.
Baltimore can't rush the quarterback.
Baltimore can run.
Who y'all play this week? Who y'all play Sunday?
Who? Dallas?
Yeah.
At Cincinnati. We're 3.5-point favorites. And I need us to lose so we can lose into their draft spot.
No mercy.
The Clippers have gone all in on Paul George. The Clippers and George have agreed to a 4-year max extension that is worth $190 million. That locks him in alongside Kawhi Leonard, who still has another 2 years on his current deal with the Clippers. So, Shannon, how surprised were you by this extension?
Well, Skip, it makes sense for Paul George because you get long-term financial security. And I guess for the Clippers, considering what they gave up, they basically mortgaged their future. Kawhi was a free agent. You didn't have to give up anything. Kawhi came there voluntarily. But in order to get Kawhi a sidekick, you had to trade Gallinari and Gilgeous-Alexander and 4 or 5 number 1 draft picks. So basically, your future until 2026, you got no future when it comes to the draft.
Yep.
So I guess this is what you had to do, Skip. And if worse come to worse, you can trade him and try to recruit some of that back. It's very difficult to trade someone if he's about to be a free agent and he doesn't make a long-term, he's not willing to make a long-term commitment to you. So I get it on both of their parts, you know, Paul George and Kawhi. But Skip, I'm confused. This max money should go to the top list, and I get there are guys getting max money, and I get it. But Skip, when I look at Paul George in his last 5 elimination games, he's averaging 20 points, 37% field goal shooting. He has a 1-4 record. In Game 7 against Denver, he had 10 points, 4-16. Now, I know what Paul George did his first couple of years in the league, going head-to-head with LeBron in Miami with D-Wade and Bosh. I remember that. But I also remember what happened those last 2 years in Indiana. I also remember what happened when he was in OKC, when Russ dropped 45 and he hit 5. I remember that.
Russ 45 versus Donovan's 44, whatever he was. Right?
And Paul George laid an egg.
Yep.
So
he did.
And I thought, Skip, when you gave somebody that kind of money, you're banking on what they're going to be moving forward.
Yep.
What has convinced you that Paul George in the playoffs, because that's where you get that, if you're giving that guy that money, what are he going to be in the playoffs? I just, like I said, it makes sense for Paul George. Hell, anybody, you'd be foolish not to take that kind of money. That long, that's guaranteed.
I mean, the last year is almost $50 million.
And then no accountability. It's everybody else's fault. The way Doc was using me. Doc had me using me like I was J.J. Redick. Pin downs, all this. Bruh. Doc
By the way, did you see Doc's response on ESPN today?
Yeah, I love it. I love Doc.
Yeah, and Doc was saying, wait, I was using him like I used Ray Allen. He said, you know, Ray Allen was really good. Maybe Paul should say, thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
So who made him hit the side of that backboard? Who made him shoot 4-16? So that was Doc's fault. Remember, he missed that layup. He had a point-blank layup, and then he just dropped it just like, it's one of those things. I get it for Paul George. Skip, that's $226 million over the next 5 years. I get that. But for the Clippers, whoo.
Okay. So, as usual, I see this completely upside down from the way you do. I was hoping that Paul George would bet on himself the way Kawhi is about to bet on himself again and have what you call a contract year, where you could play it out and become free again after this coming basketball season, right?
Right.
Kawhi is about to do that. Now, you can argue it's smart on his part. He's a little more advanced in age than Paul is.
Right.
And so he's got those bird rights where you could max out by becoming a free agent and then re-signing with the Clippers, you could make more money.
Right.
Paul had a chance right here, right now, to go big on the 4-year extension, the last year's at his option for $50 million.
Right.
So he said, I wanted security.
Right.
That speaks to who he is and who he's not, because he's like, man, I don't know. I wasn't very good in the
Exactly.
He's thinking, they're going to offer me this?
Right.
I'll take it.
After the playoff,
Right.
the pandemic, P, they saw they would give me 190.
Or as you called him, playoff P-E-E.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what he was.
He was. I do not disagree. Now, here's another point of contention I have with what you're saying. Why would the Clippers do this? You know why? Because
You got no choice.
Okay, no, but he is a complimentary star at best. But I underscore that word star. He's still a star. He does not have alpha in him. He does not have much of that dog in him. But ESPN ranked him in the ranking that just came out, the top 100 yesterday. He was 20th, and that's where he belongs. He is a top 20 talent. That's why you've got a guy who's made all-star. He's made, 6 all-star teams, and he's been all defense 4 times. That talent does not grow on Southern California palm trees out here. It does not.
It does not.
So you just have to step back from it and say, let's not be prisoner of the playoff moment. And the odds are he'll do it again. He'll do it again because that's his history.
Yes.
But can he get you to that point? Yes, he can. I remind you, coming off 2 shoulder surgeries, he had a pretty good regular season. He shot 41% from 3 at 6 feet 8 inches tall.
Oh, yeah.
And he defends at a high level. So you can't find that kind of talent. So if you can pair the 20th ranked player with the guy who I would rank 2nd in the NBA, 2 plus 20 equals potential championship. So you can't just let him go. You can't say, let's cut bait with, I call him George Paul.
But here's the thing.
He is still Paul George in talent.
But you've given up so much to get him, Skip, and you keep telling me all these guys, he plays D at elite level. What did Jamal Murray do to him? What did Jason Tatum do to him?
Okay.
What did Marcus Smart do to him?
Where was that? Where did it happen? It happened in the bubble. What was he going through? And I do not discount this. He said, I'm suffering anxiety/depression. I need counseling. Okay? He was public with it, and it's like, okay. And they were coming apart at the seams internally because you had the veterans, Montrez and Lou, saying, wait a second, you guys get to do this and that, and we don't get to do that. You get to take games off. You get to dictate circumstances, whether we practice or not, and we don't have any say. That they had such internal dissension with a coach who, I love Doc, but he was just saying, I give up. You guys go figure it out. You know, I'm sick. You've tuned me out. I'm sick and tired of all of you. So I'm just going to sit back and fold my arms on the bench and see if you can figure out how to close out one of 3 games in which you had leads of 15, 19, and 12.
But if PG, 190 million, if he's that guy, shouldn't he be able to do that? Even if Kawhi's, because this is why you have 2 guys like that. If LeBron's off, AD got to be able to bring it home. Because remember when AD was struggling, what did Go James do? Brought it home. So that's the reason why you have 2 of those guys.
You know who brought it home for you guys? Your 3rd best player.
Oh, my goodness.
Playoff
You ought to
Rondo.
stop.
Every time you were in any kind of hot water at all, he just comes in, he settles it down, he sets it up, and he gets people where they should be so you can close deals.
So we're going to discount LeBron's triple-double in Game 6.
No, I'm just saying, are we going to discount the numbers Kawhi was putting up in the playoffs before Game 7?
No.
Because they were huge.
But, Skip, he was gagging.
In Game 7, he did.
No, but, Skip, can you imagine? Let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, that's LeBron James, and he has a 3-1 lead, and he had leads of 15, 19, and 12. I wouldn't even be able to come out here and do the show with you because you would show that we be talking about something else, and you show that clip. I want to show you because that's what you do with the bloopers. You show the bloopers.
Are you asking for
No, I ain't asking for it, but
we can show them right now.
But I'm just saying, Skip, let that sink in for a second. 2 guys, you say that 2 guys guys like Paul George don't grow on California palm trees. And he had a 3-1 lead along with Kawhi. Kawhi, who you say is the 2nd best player in the NBA.
I do.
You got him in front of Go James.
I do. I go Kevin Durant, Kawhi, I'll give you GOAT, quote unquote, and I'll give you AD. That's my 4.
Skip, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
And
You
no
ought to be,
Luka.
Skip, you ought to
Luke
be.
is 15th on my list. That's all he is. That's all he's proven so far.
You know,
Stop it. He can't shoot.
The mere fact that you got LeBron 3rd, your list should be disqualified.
Oh, stop it. Really? Well, that's what he was a year ago.
Hold on.
Coming off 28 and 27 as a starter as a first-year Laker. Way to go.
Here's the thing. What I don't
We should show that blooper reel.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah.
What I don't understand, Skip, is the reason why you and a lot of other people had Kawhi in front of LeBron last year is because he won the title. Your guy gagged in the divisional round with a 3-1 lead. My guy galvanized the great leader, might be the greatest leader in NBA history.
He's lost 6 finals. How can you be great if you've lost 6 finals? How can you be great when you're the quote-unquote leader of the Miami Heat and you blow a 2-1 lead and you lose 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah. So
how can you do that?
I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
And
So
how do you
can't
melt down? Do you remember the numbers?
So Tom Brady ain't great.
He didn't even average 20 points a game in those last 3 against Dallas in 2011.
So Tom Brady ain't great.
We should show those lowlights.
No, Skip. All I'm saying is, Skip, is that when you look at, I don't want to get like Paul George, 5 years, 226. I get it.
Okay, well, I get all you're saying. I'm with you.
Okay.
There's a lot.
You called him man George Paul, and
Okay.
now you co-signing this?
Okay, because you can't replace that kind of talent. That kind of talent will get you to that moment. Yes, they should have closed the deal. No, they don't have a trustable point guard. There's still Pat Bev or bust unless they go out and get somebody I don't see coming. I have no idea. I don't think it's Luke Kennard at point guard. But my point is, they needed playoff Rondo, and I guess he took the money and ran to Atlanta.
No, don't do that.
Yep.
Because Paul George, hold on. You just said Paul George took the money. He wasn't willing to bet on himself.
Nope, he was not willing
But
to.
you want Rondo, who has an injury history, who's about to be 34, 35, but you want him to come there and play with them guys.
He would have been the last piece to the championship
Skip.
puzzle. I will give you that. But you still have a championship puzzle. You still have whatever you want to call them, the 3rd or 4th best team. What are their odds? I think they're now 4th best. That's fine. Okay, 4th best. That's not all that bad. Does that mean you're a contender and you got a shot?
But what about Rondo, Skip? What does Rondo like to boot? It would rub Rondo the wrong way. Them guys not out there practicing. We trying to get this thing
Might
together.
have.
So he said, nah, I ain't going to even go. I ain't
Okay.
going to even
But the point was, Kawhi has been doing this since San Antonio. So how are you shocked? How could anybody be surprised? He was the hottest thing on the market. The Lakers were on their knees for Kawhi Leonard.
we wanted it.
Yes, you were.
We wanted it, but he chose not to.
Okay.
And he got exactly what you
According
deserved.
to media people I know, LeBron was whispering, we got it, we got it.
Skip.
And if you got him, that means that you gave in to all of his demands.
And what did I tell you, Skip? What did I tell you? What's the most famous quote I like to do? Sometimes a man can make his destiny on the very road he took to avoid it.
Grandmother or grandfather?
Skip.
Which one? Grandfather.
I ain't give you no more. I ain't give you no more of these old good old these nuggets right here. But that guy right there, I'm not saying he's not a talented player. I'm not saying he was a very good player, Skip. But I'm saying in the moments, you get a name in professional sports by playing big in moments.
I agree.
Now, I'm waiting on him to have that. Skip, I know what he did early when he was in his early 20s, like 22, 23, 24. But Paul George, what, 30, 31 now?
30.
That long time ago in a land far, 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 far away.
Yep.
That was 2 teams ago.
Okay, I give you that, but I will take him paired with a much better player. And you still have a Marcus Morris, and you added around.
We got the better of the twins.
We got
Serge
Keith Ibaka, the best free agent signing.
But think about this here,
the
Skip.
best.
Think about this here. Y'all best player is not better than our best player. Y'all second best player can't see our guy with the Hubble telescope. So you want Paul George? I give you Paul George or AD. Tell me how many general managers will take Paul George over AD? How many you think?
None.
Exactly.
Which is why AD should have been ranked 1 on that list.
How many? Hold on. Let me ask you another question. How many general managers you think would take Kawhi Leonard over Goat James? None.
Well, prisoners of moment right now. A year ago, all of them.
If you take
all of them.
If you take
every one of them. 1 year ago today, we got Kawhi. Let us have Kawhi.
If you take Kawhi Leonard over Goat James, you need to be in federal prison. Not no prison of the moment. You need to be really locked up in the actual building, the actual confinement place.
Remember, he was the washed king a year ago.
That's what you said.
Everybody was saying.
27, 8,
he took
washed.
it so hard, he was using the hashtag on himself.
Yeah.
Hashtag washed king.
And you had the nerve to talk about he should have been a comeback player. Comeback for what?
player of the year.
So Tom Brady should be comeback player of the year.
If you keep talking, I'm going to call for that blooper reel.
No mercy.
The Cowboys defense is dead last in points allowed and rushing yards allowed per game, and they haven't done their offense any favors without Dak Prescott by also being tied for 29th for takeaways and 30th in third down conversion rate allowed. So, Shannon, is it time that the Cowboys fire defensive coordinator Mike Nolan?
For me, I'm going to say no, Skip. You got 4 games. If you want to move on after the season, do that, because I don't know what system that you can install in a month that you think is going to get you over the top.
Okay, then go to the end. Would you cut bait at the end of the year? Have you seen enough?
But I thought coaching was the problem last year.
Okay, well, that's what you've been telling me.
No, you told me that.
No, but I'm saying you've been arguing against that all along. So should they have kept Jason Garrett, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Hold on.
After all that mediocrity?
I bet you would give a pretty penny to be 500 right now, wouldn't you? What would you give right now to be 500 as we sit right here today?
Should have been 10-6. We got decimated on offense. We lost 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and a quarterback who's made Pro Bowls.
6-6 Jason Garrett would have you in first place in the NFC East right now, Skip.
Well, he's got the New York Football Giants as the offensive coordinator.
And your guy right now, the main man, Skip Bayless, came out here. Ooh, he was happy when he found out Mike McCarthy was the head coach. Now, everybody told me last year it was coaching. It was Jason Garrett, 8-8. Skip gave the man name 8-8 Jason Garrett. I said, Skip, the man named Red. Everybody called him Red. No, 8-8. And then you told me Chris Richard. And you told me Rod Marinelli. So Jerry Jones says, you know what? I hear you, Chris. I hear, because Jerry Jones hears everything. I hear you. I'm going to get rid of the guy that's like a son to me. Gone on vacation. We've had family get-togethers. When we have a family get-together, Jason Garrett and his lovely wife right there, because we family.
That is true.
I'm going to jettison my son or someone that's close to me like a son. Just like Jerry Jr., just like Steven, just like Charlotte, the other. Yes, Charlotte. He did that to Jason. Mm-hmm. So what now? At some point in time, Skip, you're going to have to hold these players accountable. And you keep telling me, Jerry don't want to make the mistake that Philly made with old Walker to and Wentz.
Yep.
Well, he need to worry about the mistakes that he's already made by paying a bunch of guys that's not performing.
Yep.
At some point, you're probably right, Skip. They're probably going to move on from Mike Nolan. But if guys don't play better, guess what? We're going to have this same discussion next year. It's 10 minutes to 8 West Coast time. What's the date? 11th, 12th? We're going to have the same discussion next year at this time. If the players that's on that defense last year and this year don't play better than what they're playing, that's going to be your issue.
All right. So I was on record on this show at least a month ago.
2 months.
Maybe 2 months ago. It's time to drop the mic, at least one of the 2 mics. And it has to start with the defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan. Knew his father, loved his father, have respect for Mike Nolan's longevity in the league, but it's been too long since he did anything good to great. Mm-hmm. And he is a crony. He is a best buddy of Mike McCarthy, and that's why he's still afloat coaching this defense. Although, I will give you this, Jerry is such a shrewd operator, he may have known a month ago it's time to cut bait with Mike Nolan, but he starts sniffing that high draft pick, and he says, we just got to play this out. Maybe we'll just lose out with Mike Nolan. I want everybody to understand the depth of my anguish over this defense. It's inexplicably bad. It's mind-blowing.
It's historically bad, Skip.
Hey, seriously, I want everybody, I want this to sink in. If they stay on pace of points allowed, and they're by far the worst in this league this year, they will finish second only to the 1981 Baltimore Colts. Mm-hmm. In points allowed all time. Yeah. And it's close. If they stay right on, they'll just be just a little more than a touchdown short of that team on points allowed. I want that to sink in. That's happening right before your very eyes. And obviously, they are literally getting run off the field game after game.
And because it's Skip, if that's the Jacksonville Jack, if that's the Jets, if that's one of these teams, like you don't, that's the Cowboys.
Okay, look. we did get decimated, and it's a legit excuse on offense when you lose 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and a Pro Bowl quarterback. Yeah, you're going to have a hard time on offense. But on defense, they've had injuries here or there, but nothing like hit the offense. So I ask you, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's made a couple of Pro Bowls. He makes $21 million a year. Aldon Smith, once upon a time, made first-team All-Pro. And I grant you, he hadn't played for 5 years, but the first maybe 5 games this year, he looked like he was on pace to make a Pro Bowl. That's the level at which he was playing, according to everybody, not just me. Lately, not so much.
Right.
Disappearing act. But I want people to understand that Tyrone Crawford, in the middle of that line, he makes $9 million a year, which is a pretty nice paycheck.
When last time you heard him call his name?
Thank you. He's on a 5-year, $45 million deal. So he was paid as an anchor. He anchors nothing. I don't even know that he's playing, but he plays high snaps.
What about your linebackers? Talk about them.
The 2 linebackers, they are Pro Bowl linebackers, both of them. In 2018, they looked like they were about to take over the league.
Yep.
They're flying sideline to sideline. They're wrecking the New Orleans Saints on a Thursday night at Jerry World. And I'm saying, I got this. This is my future. These are just kids. And I give you, Van Der Esch was hurt for a good portion of the year. But then he came back, and then we saw him the other night.
He looked awful.
He took the bait on a sweep fake that I still, and at least he owned it, but that doesn't make it any better. I got to tell you, he took the bait and starts running to the flank, and Lamar said, thank you.
Yep,
I'll take this.
All he has to do is look at the guard. They pulled the backside guard and tackle.
Okay, I got it. But he left a super highway to the end zone. And Lamar didn't even have to run.
Yes.
Lamar can fly, and he was in like 3rd gear maybe, right? Okay, so my point to you is, I look at it, and I wanted Earl Thomas. I thought maybe you needed one credible player on the back end, and I give you all his baggage, but I just thought maybe he could be a saving grace as an influence of respectability, Pro Bowl aura on the backside of the defense. Maybe he'd make a play or two. Maybe he would not have allowed Baltimore to run them off the field, even though he's more of a free safety. He's not a strong safety. But still, my point is there's too much talent there for me to say it's their fault. They're quitting. The other night, I told you, that was a quit game by this defense. But especially by the second half, they didn't even want to play anymore. And it wasn't like it was raining and freezing cold. No. It was a pretty nice night. They just don't want to play for Mike Nolan. So what happened a month ago? Jerry Jones had signed 8 free agents, and I thought they would at least bolster the defense. I'm talking about the Gerald McCoys and the Ha-Ha Clinton Dixes, even the Brandon used cars. You had them as credible players who have been there and done all that, who can at least lift up the defense to a level of respectability. And what did Jerry do? He cut every last one of them, all 8 of them gone, because they had mutinied against Mike Nolan. And some of their quotes were slipping into Jane Slater's reports anonymously about how bad Mike Nolan was, that they didn't believe in what he was teaching, and they couldn't even understand what he was trying to teach.
I think the thing, one of the mistakes that McCarthy made, and I understand Mike Nolan gave you your opportunity, but this defense, the way they drafted and the way they put it together to play a 4-man front. Mike Nolan comes out and he likes to base out of a 3-man front. So you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got guys that are playing out of position.
Now you're making him stand up, and I just don't think he likes standing up.
That's not him. That's not him.
He doesn't feel comfortable.
No, and you're right. And so, but Skip, at some point in time, though, you got a responsibility. You got contained. You can't let the guy out contain. Skip, I'm watching last night. I'm watching Cooper Kupp catch a touchdown.
Yep.
The DB lines up outside.
He did.
They run sprint motion, and he lets Cooper Kupp get outside of it.
Right in his face. Right in his face.
Bro, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
They put Aldon Smith outside. They line D-Law outside, and they lose contain. How? You can't. They pull and Wolf Hunter. I know you told him, but they pull 700 pounds. Here come O'Brien 6'8". How the hell you miss O'Brien at 6'8", 350? He pulling. They pull the back.
And by the way, then he's screaming at the TV camera, "Easy money!" Because it is. It's easy money. They're all making easy money.
You actually think, Wolf Hunter, you actually thought they was going to bring the running back to that side and then pull the guard and the tackle and let you have open season on the running back on 4th and 2.
Hey, it didn't work. And you have to, you can't cut DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously, because you're strapped against the cap with $21 million a year, and you gave him his money. Mike Nolan has to go.
What about your my guy Matt McCarthy? Now, you told me he was a main man.
I'm glad you brought him up.
Because
I keep waiting for him to do something where, even during a football game, I see that he did what, or he actually intended a call or something. And all that I know he did was, his one moment of inspiration was to take a sledgehammer to a bunch of watermelons in the hotel the night before the Minnesota game, something that offended you.
He did.
And it should have. And that's it. He gloated about it.
Yeah. So what now?
That's it. That's all he did. And supposedly that sprang that team into the day after to win 31-28 at Minnesota, and that's all I got. Was sledgehammer to watermelon.
So what's the inspirational tool now? Because now you do realize that anytime like with a team meeting, you only get one a season. You can't have a team meeting, and then guys, time for another team meeting. Yeah. Okay, you've had your inspiration, you've had your moment.
How many cantaloupes can you blow up? How many? What else are you going to blow up? Squashes? I don't know.
At some point in time, Skip, you just got to go play.
You just got to go play. But you have to believe in the people above you, and they have to be able to push the right buttons in you.
Mike McCarthy don't make the playoffs next year, then what? You will keep it? You got a 5-year deal.
I want Jim Harbaugh.
No mercy.
In last night's 24-3 loss to the Rams, Cam Newton passed for over 100 yards for just the first time in 3 games. Cam was also benched in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes remaining for Jarrett Stidham. After the game, Belichick said, quote, "Cam is our quarterback." We are now joined by Fox Sports NFL analyst Michael Vick. Michael, is the Cam Newton experiment in New England failing?
Yeah, as of right now, currently it's failing because they're 6-7 and not 7-6. Below 500 is not going to do it as of right now, Alex. And when I look at this team, it's a plethora of things. It's not just Cam; it's a collective effort. When I seen Michael Brockers come straight up the middle last night, I put myself in Cam's shoes. What would I have done? And basically nothing. I couldn't have got away from that. And there was other things that happened in the game, other variables that led to the destruction of the Patriots last night. But, when you look at Cam Newton and what he's been able to do, some games have fallen on him in terms of the losses, and some games he's been able to help them win. So, I look at this team overall, and it's just been a collective effort. But as of right now, this team is not thriving. They're not getting better. It's not just because of Cam, though, and I will continue to say that. Cam has been a part of the problem. He hasn't been a part of the solution either. But, in terms of moving forward, I think that they can continue to build, with Cam Newton and what they have. And just like, every other quarterback around the league, he was limited. And Cam, more so than anybody, was limited with weapons. So, look, I'm not going to get into that. This is about Cam and moving forward. I certainly think that they can continue to ascend if they put the right pieces around Cam. But as of right now, Alex, they're failing.
For the first time in almost 2 decades, Skip, the Patriots will lose 7 games in a season. Let that sink in.
Since 2002.
2002. I remember that team because we went. I don't think we were very good, and we went to New England and beat them.
Yep.
Coming
the year after they
won the Super Bowl. Skip, Cam is like a lot of other quarterbacks. He needs an immense amount of talent around him to help. Now, Mike, this will help me understand this, Mike. Tom Brady last year, in this very same offense, everybody says they're talent devoid. He needs more help. He goes to Tampa, playing well. Cam Newton is in the same system. Cam Newton is done. How does that work? If Tom Brady wasn't done playing with this, why should Cam be done? Why can't Cam get to a situation where they have weapons, where they have a nice running game? Even though they don't run the ball, I would like to see Tampa run the ball even more. Ro Jones is 4th or 5th in the league in rushing, Skip, with the amount of attempts that he actually...
On yards per carry.
Yeah.
Per carry.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get enough attempts.
He doesn't get it right. He's, 700, over 700 yards. He's on place to go for like 1,100 yards. So all the thing is, Skip, is that what I saw last night is that when Cam turned the ball over, when you're that devoid of talent on the offensive side of football, Skip, you can't turn it over because you're not built to come from behind. And what we see, if they can't run the football and get non-offensive touchdowns, we know you're supposed to score the ball on offense because that's what the offense is supposed to do. But if you cannot get a punt return or a kickoff return or a pick six scoop and score, and you turn it over on your possessions, well, they're so lack of talent, Skip, they're going to lose the ball game, and they're going to look pathetic in the process. And that's what we saw last night. We're actually watching the Patriots, and we're like, damn, that's the Patriots? And the only reason we know it's the Patriots because that's what they said. That's what the TV kept saying. And I think Joe and Troy kept telling them, that's the Patriots, that's the Patriots. But, Skip, you look at that team like, 3 points? That's all they got, 3 points. And they're gonna lose 7 games for the first time in almost 2 decades. That's how far they've fallen. But that ain't Cam's fault. That's the guy in the hoodie. That's the guy that's making the commercial for Subway. Because he shop for all the groceries. Every piece of grocery, the silverware, the ingredients, he bought it. Coach Belichick did that. So if I'm giving him 75, 80% of the credit for everything that went good, I'm giving him 75, 85, 90% because Brady's not there now. So I'm giving him 90% of the blame. You put that in there. So what we see that doesn't taste good, that isn't appealing to the eye, is Coach Belichick. But I still believe Cam can play if you give him weapons. But the days of him being like what he was in Carolina, Skip, when he didn't have a whole lot, and being able to overcome that and be Superman, nah, he can't be that guy.
He's 31 years of age. He's taken a lot of pounding. He's taken a lot of pounding this year. And yet I echo what both of you just said. I'm not going to condemn him for this. I will condemn Coach Belichick because he's not just Coach Belichick. He's GM, personnel director Belichick. Yeah. He's everything. He's President Belichick.
He's the only difference between him and Jerry, Skip, he don't have the ownership title. But everything underneath is Coach Belichick.
And that cupboard is pretty bare. And in Cam's defense, in Carolina, he had a security blanket named Greg Olsen. And boy, Michael will attest. When in doubt, if you can throw it to a tight end like that, a receiving tight end, he's got none. Last night, he threw one ball to one rookie tight end, and it was not caught. That's all he's got because there's not even Ryan Izzo. He's now on IR. So they went from the GOAT tight end and Gronk to no tight ends. That's Belichick's fault. In my life of watching Belichick coach, I have never seen a Belichick team get so dominated in both lines of scrimmage by the Rams offensive line and the Rams defensive line as happened last night. That's all on him. Got exposed. Now to Cam. He asked Cam to win a lot of games with his legs. And the truth is, if you look at Cam's season in total, it's pretty great actually because he had them within one play at Seattle of pulling off what seemed like a miracle at that point. They lost 35-30, and Shannon, I think Michael also said, you got to bounce it. You just got to bounce that last play, and he didn't. Okay? And then at Buffalo, it's a late fumble, but you're driving to win the football game, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there's 2, and you got 6, and you got a bunch of nice wins against Baltimore at home, Arizona at home. It's pretty good. But look what happened to Cam. And Michael can definitely comment on this. Look at Cam's rushing. He's rushed it 113 times. It's only 3 short of Lamar, who leads the league in rushing attempts at 116. But Cam's yards per rush have fallen to 3.99, which ranks 17th. We'll start doing the math. That means you're just not getting enough yards because you're taking a pounding. You're 31 years of age. And Michael, talk about what happened to you when you got into your 30s. You just can't take the beating anymore, right?
Yeah, Skip, and it's also it's more mental than anything. You go into games and you specifically have to show up, and to what Shannon said, can't be Superman like he was in 2014, 2015. It's just not going to come back. Those days are gone. So when you go into your 30s, it's this mental lapse that you have, thinking that you can. Do the things that you used to do, but it's just not there. And, in your mind, when it needs to show up, you can't move as fluently as you once could. And, that alone, watching that on film, it starts to become evident. You start to see it and you start to believe it at some point. And then you start looking at the guys around you like, man, I really need help. And then you don't see the help around you. And then it's just discouraging from there. So, you start to lean on your coaches and the game plan, and everything has to be perfect. And in football, nothing is perfect. We have to go out and make the perfection come to life. And, you know, when you can't do that, you know, you find yourself in difficult situations where you're sitting at 6-7, or you finishing out the season 8-8 and you fighting. So this is an uphill battle for Cam. He's ultimately going to need the pieces around him in order to have success moving forward in the future.
Go ahead, Skip. Go ahead.
Well, here's the issue. What if it doesn't work out? I don't even know where Belichick's going to turn, because they've been too good to get a high pick and one of those stud quarterbacks in the top 5 or 6 picks, because they're sitting at 15th right now because they won too many games for their own good.
And the low picks they've been getting hadn't been turning out too well.
And yet, if Belichick really wanted to go forward with Jared Stidham, I got to really question his acumen in picking players, because that looks like a disaster to me. But what if they cut bait with Cam? What if I don't know what there's rumors they could get, maybe San Francisco parts ways with Garoppolo, and Belichick says, he's my guy, I want him back.
Oh, he definitely going to get Garoppolo.
All right, okay, so fine. So what if Cam hits the open market? I remind everybody, he lasted until July 8th before anybody signed him, and that was out of desperation by Bill Belichick. Usually when Belichick cuts somebody, you stay cut because the rest of the league says, oh, the GOAT coach cut you, right? My problem with Cam is, I love him because he's just a flat-out baller, and I don't disagree. If you give him some pieces, a little bit of help, yeah, he can still play. But you don't want Cam as your backup because he's too good to be a backup. His aura is too great. His personality is too big. He's not a clipboard holder. He's not Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's a nice guy who just says, I'm fine, I'll take it, right? Okay, so, Michael, where would Cam go? If he does get cut by Belichick, do you see him landing any place?
Now, that's a good question, Skip. And I was thinking the other day, where could Cam end up? And going through the Rolodex, you know, it's hard to find a team out there who needs a quarterback at this moment. I think the league is filled with teams who have their guys in place or got their eyes on guys who may be able to enter, you know, in the future, you know, mainly guys coming out of the draft. So it might be a situation where Cam has to take that backup role and take that backup role serious, and then wait till another opportunity to open up so he can go out and show the league that he's productive. But that gives him time to get healthy, and get healthy not only physically but mentally, because football can take a strain on you. So as of right now, I can't pinpoint a team, you know, that might be open, you know, for Cam to step in and be a starter.
Let me say this, Mike, and you can attest to this. The hardest thing to do as we age as athletes is to be something we've never done before. Cam has never been a pocket passer. So what does he evolve to? What can he evolve to that will prolong his career?
Yeah, it's
if I'm a fast receiver, I can turn myself into possession receiver, Skip.
Yeah,
I can do that. So what's the evolution? What's the next step? I want to see Cam get healthy and get some weapons. Maybe New England is not the place for Cam, but I still don't believe Cam is totally done. I want to see him get. I'm not saying he needs. Sure, he would love to have what's in Kansas City or what's in Tampa, but the likelihood of you getting that is not very good. But I would like to see him have more than what he has in New England, and to see where he can go from there. But it's hard.
I would say this. I would say this, and I don't mean to cut you off, but the best thing for Cam right now would be to fall into the hands of a guy like Andy Reid. You know, Andy Reid. Yeah. I don't have to explain it. You know, what he means to the quarterback position, what he can teach you, what you can learn. If Cam is willing to take on that role, he'll be much successful, or even more successful down the road after a year or two with Andy, learning what the passing game really entails and how to go out and bring it to life. You know, it's the best experience, and obviously experience is the best teacher, but sometimes you can learn vicariously and from afar and kind of hanging out in the back. And I did that in 2009, and it paid dividends for me in 2010.
No mercy.
Start Saturday strong with a Rocky Mountain rivalry on Fox as number 21 Colorado looks to secure a spot in the Pac-12 championship when they host Utah. It all starts with Big Noon kickoff at 10 a.m. Eastern, followed by Big Noon Saturday, only on Fox. Now, after coming in late last week to provide a spark, Jalen Hurts is set to get his first NFL start against the Saints on Sunday. Now, according to Pro Football Focus, Hurts' performance last week was the 4th best of any rookie QB this year, despite having an interception. Now, Michael Vick is still with us. Michael, What's reasonable to expect from Hurts?
I mean, I think we can expect Hurts to show us why he was drafted in the second round. Obviously, to be taken that high is something that Doug Pederson seen in him, and I seen it as well when Jalen was in college at Alabama and then Oklahoma. He just showed that he was a pure winner. And regardless of how he had to win the game, he didn't win a lot passing the football, but he won a lot using his legs and using his mobility, and I thought that was enough. So what I think we'll see in this game is a little bit of what we've seen from Taysom Hill, passing the football, showing that he can, handle most of the concepts, and then running the football a majority of the time, using his mobility and improv, at the same time. So, he hasn't had a lot of experience, hasn't had a lot of snaps, didn't get a preseason. So basically this is his preseason, even though it's live and it has significant meaning. He's going to have to show us that, he can step behind the center and he can go out and for 4 quarters find a way to generate some offense. So I'm expecting him to play well. I think we need to see him for at least 2 or 3 weeks in order to get a fair assumption of what his game really is. But, I expect Jalen to go out and give the Philadelphia Eagles a spot.
Well, you're expecting a lot more than I am. Because if you look at the weapons, Skip, his weapons in college were better than what he has in Philly. He was throwing the ball to Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs. I think he might have had the first year, Calvin Ridley. His last year, you look at the receivers, they got 2 offensive linemen that went top 10.
I know.
And they got leather.
Right. It's a track team.
So when you look at it, Mike, he had better weapons at Alabama that he's going to take the field with on Sunday in Philly. And you say you expect against New Orleans.
When you're a dual threat, anything can happen. When you're a dual threat, anything can happen. Look, pick up a couple first downs with your legs. Keep the chains moving. That's what it's all about. We're not asking Jalen Hurts to go out there and be perfect, to go out there and look like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. Just go out there and find a way to win the football game. I don't care how you do it.
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out when did Fox start hiring comedians? Because Michael Vick funny. Mike say anything can happen. He go out there and pick up a couple of first down. Boy, you at the improv? I mean, what you doing comedy? Be a Zoom now?
Chains moving, Shay. You know that. You got to keep the chains moving, baby.
You know what New Orleans represent. You know when you, Mike, there's only so much you can do, Mike.
I never went into a game worried about the defense and what they present. I know what they present. Most of them are for sure tacklers, and they understand the game of football, and I leave it at that.
Let me ask you a question. How many times have you gone into a game where you had 2 guys that were on the practice squad? You had 4 of your offensive linemen that didn't start the regular season that's in the game right now. Your running back, your 2 tight ends had missed between the average of, I think they missed 10 total games. One missed 6, the other missed 4. Your running back just got back 2 weeks ago. How many games did you win in like that?
I never went into a game like that. I went in a preseason game when I was a backup.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is how you want to talk about.
So you going into a regular season game.
This is a preseason game for them.
So you going into a regular season game with that against the #1 defense in football. And so anytime I'm playing a guy like that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take his first read away. Because I know guys like that, when they get into the game for the very first time, they're one reads. I'm going to take that first read away, and then I know he's going to tuck it, and then I'm going to come put hats on him. That's the way I approach it.
So allow me to say, I believe in Jalen Hurts. I can't say I believe in his chances against the New Orleans Saints, who lead the league in fewest yards allowed. The hottest defense in the league over the last month has been these guys. They lead the league in sacks over the last 4 weeks. This is high degree of difficulty. But I love Michael Vick's attitude of, okay, but I'm Jalen Hurts or I'm Michael Vick. And I'm not saying Jalen's Michael Vick because he's not. But he's pretty good. And he's got football character at the highest degree. He's got winners' intangibles, and he has playmaking skills that I saw again and again at Alabama and Oklahoma that will translate into pro football, even against the New Orleans Saints. So what I believe will happen is Jalen will play better than Carson Wentz would have. Again, in pure talent, he's not Carson. Carson's 6'5" and can throw it through a brick wall, right? But Carson has lost his way. He's lost faith in himself. He leads the league by far in interceptions, turnovers, lowest completion percentage, sacks. It's a disaster right now. So Jalen will play better than Carson would have against New Orleans. I believe Jalen will prove to be a better NFL quarterback overall, whole package, than Carson Wentz has been. So I believe this is the start of something very good to great for the Philadelphia Eagles. It starts Sunday.
You know why this could be bad, Mike? Because guess what the New Orleans Saints has had the opportunity to do for the last 2.5, 3 years? They practice against Jalen Hurts every day.
They do.
Taysom Hill was their scout team guy. They get an opportunity to see that every single day.
I still believe that Jalen's a little better passer than Taysom. I believe that. I do.
And so now where you are a man team, I wouldn't play man. I play zone. You know why? Because I want to keep eyes in front of him. I don't want to turn my back because I don't want to have him jumping out the window and picking up, as Mike was talking about, picking up those first downs with his legs. So we already know they can't, because we showed it, I think, against Seattle. Carson Wentz was holding the ball. He's waiting on somebody to get open, and there's no separation. You couldn't throw a penny between those two guys. So
maybe they'll play harder and separate better for Jalen.
Okay.
If I'm Doug Pederson, I'm watching everything that Taysom Hill has done over the last 3 weeks, and I'm finding a way to implement that in my game plan and not make it look the same, even though this is a copycat league. If you can get away with it, do it. But this will be something that they can do down the road with Jalen Hurts if he's going to continue to be the starter for the next 3 or 4 games. So, it's all in personal preference. But, it's funny you say, because I'm sitting here thinking about all the guys that you just named, who will be playing on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles this week. So this has turned into a preseason game for Jalen Hurts. Unfortunately, this is the #1 defense for the New Orleans Saints. But, ultimately, at the end of the day, if he can take away something positive from this performance this weekend and use it as a building block towards next weekend, then that's Jalen Hurts getting better, and that's him evolving as a quarterback, which that process starts now.
Okay, so Michael, wrap this up by commenting on this. As a former Philadelphia Eagle and a quarterback, it bothered me that Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey both spoke up and spoke out this week for Carson Wentz. Fletcher Cox said, he's my best friend. He's been my guy from day one. And Jason Kelsey just raved about what Carson Wentz has meant to the Eagles, both his intelligence, his off the field, his impact on the football team. He just went on and on. Both big votes of confidence for Carson. And Jason Kelsey concluded, it's just hard to believe we're at this point. Mm-hmm. Well, man, Jalen Hurts is up against the Saints, and he's up against his 2 captains, Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey, both big votes of public confidence for Carson Wentz. How would that make you feel, Michael?
Honestly, it would make me feel good. Like, indirectly, when I look at that, I would take it as, look, these guys are true character guys. They're leaders of this football team, and they got Carson's back through and through, regardless of everything that he's been through. And it's been a rough road from, him having an injury and them going on to winning the Super Bowl, and him having the pressure of having to get back. It's been a lot. So Kelsey understands that more than anything. They have a close personal relationship. They work together closely every day. And Fletcher, just as a man, understands what he's going through, being a veteran, for so long in this league and knowing that, it's a revolving door at every position. So, Carson has become one of the guys, and they support him, and that's a great thing. So, if you're Jalen Hurts, you're looking at that. You want that for the future, for the new guys that's coming in for the Philadelphia Eagles in the future, who's going to be a part of that team. You want to earn the respect like Carson has earned.
No mercy.
With an extremely limited offseason, Tom Brady had no time to get comfortable with his new teammates in Tampa. The Buccaneers were still able to start the season 6-2 before they added another star receiver, Antonio Brown. And since adding AB, the Bucs went 1-3 heading into their bye week. Now, Michael Vick is still with us. Michael, coming out that bye week, how much better, if any, do you expect the Bucs offense to be?
I expect them to be better because coming off a bye, you always have a chance to take a step back and look at what the offense has been able to do production-wise, weed out the bad, bring back in the good. This work, these down and distances, we was better in these situations. And you have a chance, you have a full week to go back and look at everything and then some things that you were good at will probably resurface. But what I will expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be is a better running football team when they come back. Take some of the pressure off Brady. It's a 4-game stretch. It's the fourth quarter of the season. Gain some momentum, get hot going into the playoffs if the playoffs is in the future for them. But they have to run the football efficiently, and I think they have to just take it out of Tom Brady's hands, and they got all the weapons and the guys around them. But, everybody has to come to grips on what needs to happen. The most important thing is making it to the postseason. Once you get there, it's 1-game season. Anything can happen. I expect the offense to look different, but I don't expect all the onus to be on Tom Brady moving forward.
Well, I just wanted, Alex had that read in, but Tom Brady had a limited offseason. Everybody had a limited offseason. Tom Brady's not the only.
But not everybody changed teams.
Well, Cam Newton did. So we're going to make that so Cam Newton. So that's why Cam Newton is struggling, Mike Vick, because he had a limited offseason. They signed him in July. Was it July? Late June, maybe June. I believe the Bucs, the line in Fox Bears, I think 6.5. Do I believe they cover that? Yes, I do. Because I don't see the problems that, Skip, that would give Tom Brady problems, which is pressure the quarterback. And the Minnesota don't do that very well.
Fair point.
Bruce Arians also said Ronald Jones, Rojo, is going to get 20 touches.
We said it starts with him, and they've rushed the ball 28th most in the league. Really?
He already said, Rojo, Ronald Jones is going to get 20 touches today. Okay. So I don't know if he meant yesterday in practice or he means Sunday come game time. But the running game...
Wait a second. How about Byron Leftwich? They ask him, why don't you run play action? I don't know. You don't know? Well, if you don't, you call the plays, then whose fault is that?
Yeah, you probably should have gave a little better answer than that was. Yeah. But I think the running game would protect Tom Brady a lot better. Play action, Tom Brady is very good at play action, and it slows the pass rush down so they just don't tee off. Skip, if I know you're not going to even attempt to run the football, I'm attacking your quarterback. Mike, you understand that? Oh, y'all not going to run it at all, huh? So y'all just said, forget, y'all don't even care about us. So I'm just going to come attack your quarterback. So I do believe, and that's what the bye week is all about. The bye week is going back and evaluating yourself. You don't look at so much of who our next opponent is. Mike and Gary, the coaches, they go back and evaluate us. This is what we did. We had too many plays out of this formation. That's why it wasn't as successful later as it was early on. So you go back, you look at what you did good, as Mike said, you look at what you did bad, you try to get those plays out of there, and we come back and says, guys, we got to recommit. We're going to run the football. We're going to stay committed to running the football. If we fall behind by 7, we're just not going to ask Tom to go back and throw it 45 times. Okay. We're going to continue to run the football, and I believe they'll do that.
So did Tom take the last 2 weeks and help coach the defense, which has given up the most passing yards over the last 4 weeks in the National Football League? Because Kirk Cousins has been on fire. I hate to say it, but he went from third to first Cousins over the last 4 weeks. They've won 5 out of 6 games, and he's thrown for 300-plus twice in a row.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't think he'll throw for 300?
But you don't believe in him. You say you don't believe in Kirk Cousins.
You talk about against a weakness. Well, he's up against a weakness, right? Well, Tom's up against a team that doesn't rush the passer. He's up against a team that can't defend the pass. So I'm looking at shootout. So back to Alex's question. Look, Tom Brady had to start from nothing with a brand new team, new system that runs completely counter to everything he ever knew in New England. It is no risk it, no biscuit, bombs away, and he has tried to run exactly Bruce Arians' system for all these many weeks. Their bye week came late this year. So we're deep into December now, and they finally got 2 weeks off. Well, they tried at 6-2 when they were playing at the highest level to throw Antonio Brown into a mix that was working at the highest level. Well, what happened? Nothing great happened because we talked about the Cam experiment failing. I'm afraid the AB experiment has been failing in Tampa. I am fascinated to see what they come out of this break with AB in the mix. Is he in or out? Is he out of the rotation? He fell out of the rotation in the second half against Kansas City when they were at their best. So to me, this is make it or break it for the Brady offense, for the Buccaneers. Because if they're the team that I think they can be, they have to win this game. If they lose to Minnesota at home, again, it's not that they'd be out of the playoffs. They're just out of contention, right? They'd be struggling just to scrape into the playoffs.
Right.
So this is it. And to answer the question, I do believe they will be much better than they were over the previous 3 home games.
Well, Skip, you're saying he's starting from scratch, but it's a lot easier to start from scratch when you got Mike Evans and Godwin and Brady and Gronk and Rojo, as opposed to starting from scratch with what Cam got. But like you said, if they can run the football and protect Brady, is that what teams are starting to do, Skip? And it started early in New Orleans game. What did they do? They hit him. First play of the game, Cam Jordan, boom. Now you thought
hit him right in the face.
Oh, I don't know. I ain't see all that.
I ain't see all that. 3 flags.
I ain't see all that.
Okay.
I ain't see all that.
Okay.
But what teams are starting to do, Mike, and you see, like, heat him up. He's one of the worst quarterbacks against pressure in all of football. And we normally would not say that about Tom Brady. But that's what we're saying now. But the question is, are you willing to run the risk and put your corners one-on-one on the island with Godwin, with Mike Evans, AB in the slot, and Gronk? Are you willing to run that risk? I believe you have to take that chance a couple of times a game just so you can put a hat. Because, Mike, you know, back when you and I played, they would knock your head off, not just in the first quarter, just so you know they was going to be there come third or fourth quarter, you might get that drop. So you come put the pressure on him and you hit Brady, make him pick himself up off the ground in the first and second quarter, just so he gets a little antsy, and he might throw one a little early come third or fourth quarter, and that might be the difference in your ball game. But you're going to have to sacrifice something because Minnesota doesn't generate pressure with just their 4 men front.
Well, I'm just glad Skip said it, man. This is it. This is it for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and obviously it starts with Tom and then the defense, and if the defense is going to play better, then the offense has to play better. There's been too many 3-and-outs over the last couple of weeks, leaving the defense out on the field, tired and exposed.
3-and-out? Hold on. 3-and-out? Who the 3-and-outs on, Mike? Who the quarterback at 3-and-out?
Example.
Mike, is that Brady?
Who's the GOAT, Shannon? Who is it?
Yeah,
is it Mahomes boys? He already the GOAT?
Yeah, he go.
Yeah.
He the GOAT right now. He the GOAT right now.
Really?
Look, it's just been too many 3-and-outs, which led to a lot of bad things on defense. And opposing quarterbacks throwing for over 300 plus. If that happens, Kirk Cousins going to do the same thing.
So guess who Mahomes boy gets to play for? The man that this man, Michael Vick, just raved about, Andy Reid. Yeah. Guess who Brady now has to play for? That mad scientist down in Tampa. Yeah, so over these 2 weeks, I want to see if Brady asserted himself, because what does he do best? Play action. What else does he do best? Oh, he loves motion so he can identify man or zone. They do none of the above. What else does he love? He loves to run screen passes, set them up and just lay them down. They run no screen passes. So maybe over 2 weeks they said, maybe we should do this, that, and that.
Hey, Mike, you got to adapt.
Adapt.
You got what I like to do, Skip. I like to curse, but when I came on TV, they said, "Nah, you can't do that." So I had to adapt. Adapt, Tom Brady.
For that.
No mercy.
Kyrie Irving has refused to talk to the media on several occasions this week, and now he and the Nets have been fined $25,000 because of it. Now, Kyrie issued a brief statement in an attempt to make sure his message is, quote, properly conveyed. The league, however, did not see this as fulfilling his media obligations. So this morning, Kyrie posted on social media why he chose not to speak and finished it by saying, quote, "I do not talk to pawns. My attention is worth more." So, Shannon, whose side are you on here?
I told you it was just going to be a matter of time, Skip. It was just going to be a matter of time. I knew this was coming. But you know what? Kyrie don't got to talk, but he got to pay. You ain't got to say a word, but I'm going to fine you. It's $25,000. The next time you don't talk, it's $50,000. The next time you don't talk, it's $100,000 and $200 and $400. I'm going to make it so cost prohibitive you have no talk. I'm going to have to shut you up. You know your obligations. Talking about pawns. He had no problem, Skip. He had no problem talking about we shouldn't be playing. When they was getting ready to go to the bubble, Skip, and he wasn't allowed to go, he had a lot to talk about. 2 months ago, when LeBron James was in the bubble getting ready to play, he had a lot to talk about.
Did he?
The guy that's sitting next to me now, I ain't got no problem passing the ball because he going to hit them clutch shots. Now, all of a sudden, he ain't got nothing to say. But like I said, you ain't got to talk, but you got to pay. Kyrie know he dead wrong for this. He DA on this one. He knows it, Skip. But he going to issue a statement. So I guess after the game, Skip, here's Kyrie's statement. We played well as a team. We just need to do some things. But come on. Man, Kyrie missed me with this foolishness, man. There's always something with this dude.
And yet, the statement Alex just read is exactly why he doesn't need to talk for his own good to the media because he always puts sneaker in mouth.
Yes!
How many times has he wrecked his team by throwing it under bus?
Yes.
Going back to the Cavaliers, then to the Celtics, then to the Nets. It's every time he opens his mouth, he does damage, right?
Yep, every time he opens his mouth, here's another toe popping out because he got his foot in his mouth, Skip,
Okay.
every time.
Well, how about this? I do not talk to pawns, so he's calling the media pawns, right? Well, they are your lifeblood. And the last time I checked, you get paid, what's he make, 35, 40 million?
Easy, yeah. He got a max contract, 4 years, 140,
Okay.
something like that.
The reason you can make that kind of money is that your product sells, and it needs marketing by the people who play the game.
Right.
So it's part of the bargain that you talk to the media. It's in your contract. That you have to
Yes,
talk to the
absolutely.
contract because, as you well know from your days, you were the mouth of the team. You know, and again, it's great promotion because the media wants to hear what Shannon says.
Right.
You're their go-to guy.
Right.
In Denver for all those years, maybe even in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Go-to. What does Shannon say? Well, it helps promote you, but it also really helps sell the product, right?
Yes.
Well, Kyrie needs to learn how to help sell the product instead of destroy the product. So from a team perspective, I can see, well, the team is saying, God, we're glad he just shuts up. But you can't do it for the league's sake, for the ownership's sake, because they need you to speak.
Basically, what Kyrie is saying is that every time I say something, you guys misconstrue what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Skip.
No, we don't.
Thank you. You played 3 years with LeBron James. Arguably one of, if you don't want to say he's a GOAT, you don't want to say he's the second best, he's a top 5 player of all time. You played 3 years with him. Here's a guy that you've never played in the NBA with. I think you're on the Olympic team and you played there.
Yep.
You've never played in the NBA with. The guy that you played 3 years with, had won 4 MVPs and 3 titles. I didn't feel comfortable passing the ball to him because I don't think he can make that shot. But I got a guy now that he can make that shot. So we misconstrued that as you weren't taking a shot at LeBron.
But then he tried to walk it back by saying, why do you guys always try to pit player against player? Well, you
did that.
You started it.
You did that.
Right. Don't kill the messengers.
Right.
That's what he's trying to do.
Right.
Right?
And it got out. Well, you didn't want to play with LeBron no more because you thought, okay, there are not very many people, stars, Skip, that says, you know what? I mean, think about it. You think Parrish or McHale was like, you know what, man, I can't play with Larry. We winning. Normally, Skip, guys that are winning, especially if you winning titles,
I got it.
You stay. I thought that was the whole thing.
And if a man says the earth is flat, I can't misconstrue that. You believe the earth is flat.
Yeah,
really?
you said that.
You said it. I didn't exaggerate or embellish it. You said the earth is flat.
It's kind of like when Charles said he was misquoted in his own autobiography.
He did.
How we misquote you with what you wrote, what you said? Skip, I told you this was going to happen. I said, I give it 2 years max between him and KD. I give it 2 years.
All right. So what you did with the media was you had a great relationship, and it's a way of buying insurance with the media. Maybe they'll go a little easier on you if you drop a big ball at the end of a game. Well, Kyrie buys no insurance. In fact, he does the opposite. He antagonizes the media.
Right.
So does Kevin Durant. So they're both, they attack the media, and then they wonder why the media attacks back, right?
Skip, I thought, for me, I was abundantly clear. I never got misquoted. I said what the hell I mean. I meant what the hell I said. So there was no misconstruing. You can't misconstrue what I said. You know exactly what Shannon Sharp said and exactly what he meant. I wasn't taking shots at anybody. We didn't play well. As an offense, as a wide receiver, we didn't block well enough. We didn't catch well enough. We didn't run it. We got to do better. Defensively, we got to do better. What's the misconstrue about that? Shannon, I'm saying that in order for us to win the next game, we need to play better than what we played today.
Well, good luck with the fines, because he's going to have a whole bunch of them.
I guarantee you start talking.
Yep.
I mean, you think that joke up parried the way you going to be talking. Talk about Kyrie, we good. Anything else? Because they'll make it cost prohibitive, Skip. He got money. He ain't got that kind of money.
No mercy.
Cowboys have by far the worst odds to win the NFC East at 40-1, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, but they have the easiest opponent based on record this week in the Bengals. The Giants host the Cardinals, while the Eagles have to face the Saints, and Washington goes on the road against the Niners. So, Shannon, how does the NFC look on Monday?
Cowboys will be in third place.
Third place?
Third place.
Oh.
Because
So you got the Eagles getting wiped out.
the Eagles are going to beat the Saints. So they'll be in third place, but nothing is looking good for the Cowboys because guess what? They're not going to be in first place after this weekend, and that's all I care about. And as long as they're not in first place come week 17.
Okay. So here is my biggest fear. The Giants at home are 2.5-point underdogs to Arizona. I fear the Giants will lose that game. Washington is a 3-point underdog at San Francisco. I fear Washington will lose that game. My Cowboys are a 2.5-point favorite, 3.5-point favorite at Cincinnati. I fear my Cowboys will win that game. You think they'll win that game, too?
Yes, I do.
Okay? And that would mean that my 4-9 Cowboys are only one game out of first on Monday when we sit here again, and they'll tease and torment me a whole nother week on this show.
So, that one game out of first will mean they're in what? Third place.
Okay, but one game out of first is crazy at this point. 4-9 and you're one game out?
But here's the thing. You guys have never been more than 2 games out of first place the entire season.
Okay, who has the easiest schedule of all those 4 teams in that division? It's the Cowboys by far.
But who has the worst team of any team in that division?
I grant you that. I give up. I'm with you. I want a quarterback. I want a high draft pick.
You got a quarterback. He just happened to be injured.
He wants $42 million.
Okay, pay it.
And we just can't. He's not that good.
Whoa.
He's very good, but he's not great.
He's great.
He's not my homeboy. I give you that.
You said you'd rather have him over my homeboy.
Okay, but why wouldn't I want a higher pick? And right now, Cincinnati's a half game worse than we are. So they're sitting with the third pick. We need to lose.
So you'd rather lose to Cincinnati?
Well, what sign of life have I seen all year? I've seen one game at Minnesota.
Okay.
That's all I got to hang my helmet on, right?
Well, you did good against Atlanta, right?
We stole it.
Okay.
Yeah. Look,
you're going to be in third place, and you're going to get your hopes up. You're going to come in here, and you're going to say, how about them Cowboys? And then you're going to lose out.
Okay. But one game out, I got a ray of false hope, right?
You're going to be like you were in 2014. What y'all go, 4-12, 2014?
No,
I mean 26 after you get Zeke, 2015. That would be
Well,
good.
it should be a fun football weekend. That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back Monday at 9:30 Eastern.